Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming. This is a presentation about presentations. You will be called to have your own presentation very soon. Some of you already started. And I think that we're going to give you a lot of useful information today about what you're going to need. I'm going to upload all this material on my new Telegram channel, Kosmas Teaching. This will be a channel that if you're old students, you can register there, and I will keep sending materials, inviting you in similar events and stuff like that. If you're going to post pictures, feel free to do it. I want to start with two amazing facts that you need to understand. So over 90% of well-presented theses receive excellent grades. And only 20% of good theses that they are not presented well, they receive something more than passing grades. And these are two amazing facts. They're not true, I just made them up. But it's enough to show you that words speak louder than facts. And if you ask your professors, how important is a presentation in your decision about grading a paper, they will be like, not important at all. If it's a good paper, it will receive a good grade. But more importantly, if you take 100 random people from a population and you ask them, how much are you affected by advertisement of products? 95% of them, they will tell you, no, I'm not affected by advertisement. And then you see that the advertising right now is #1 industry in the world. Like even if you consider Facebook and Google and all these firms, they make their money by just selling information that is used for advertising. So how you're going to present your work is going to make a difference. Okay, facts should not be less important than words, but actually this is the reality, and you can use this to your advantage. And today I'm going to teach you exactly this. So how to design, deliver, and control a short presentation. This is an extract from a public speaking course that I present. Now, I used to give it in Higher School of Economics a few years ago. Now I present it to big companies and personnel and executives. This will be specialized in short academic presentations and will be tailored exactly to what you need to know. So we're going to talk about slides, about delivery, about presentation of yourself, how to prepare yourself, how to handle questions, and how to deal with stage fear. And stage fear is one of the most important parts. Recently, there was some research a few years ago. I think it was Harvard Business School that did this. This I didn't make up. And they said, like, what is the #1 fear that you have? And #1 fear was public speaking, speaking in front of a live audience. #2 was death. Okay. Which can be extrapolated to if you were in a funeral, instead of just reciting the eulogy, you would prefer to be in the casket, right? So that's exactly what we're trying to tackle today. So let's get started. Let's talk about the structure of your presentation. This is like the most usual information that you receive in courses like that. I'm going to go over the basics because I just have to. First of all, you have a cover page, this title slide that we call it, with your name, your degree, the date, the institution that you are in. The supervisor's name should be in there. Now, it's really important, and this is the first tip that I will give you in that day, that your supervisor is a part of your presentation, is a part of your work. You refer to it, and you even thank your supervisor, provided that you met this person a couple of times before. And this is because by doing that, you make your supervisor an accomplice to whatever you're going to show there. Okay, so everybody else will understand that, okay, so Marinakis supervised that. So if I start like saying very bad things about it, he's not going to like it. All right, so it's important that you have it there. If your advisor is there in the presentation, might jump in a little bit and help you in this case. Now imagine there are some students that I have spent several hours helping. If they do not thank me in this, I mean, I'm still going to help them, but somebody else could be like, you know what, you answer to this question. I'm not going to help you. All right, so it's important that you have this there. Show that you're thankful, show that you appreciate the work of others. Now, the title of work and a subtitle, if there exists one, and this slide will be the background for the introduction and the motivation. So you will have your title page in the back, and exactly in the same way when I started introducing this talk and I still had my title slide in the back, this is what you should do. So you should talk a little bit about your paper while in the back is this slide. So this is the professional thing to do. If you cannot do that and you're feeling very nervous or anything, you can have another slide, an optional introduction motivation slide, which is a slide to optically guide you through your opening. So you have some bullets there, you remember what you have to say. I will talk to you about this segment in delivery later. Now, the first main slide that you will have is the literature slide. You're going to have to list the most relevant papers to your work. I would guess that this would be anything between 5 and 12 other papers that other people have done it, and they are relevant to your work. Don't find random stuff and put it there. Like if the work is too general and doesn't really relate to your work, you should not include it there. You may group them conveniently. Like for example, if you are presenting a macroeconomics paper, you must have, okay, so this is some literature on basic information about these models, this is some empirical information about this, and this is some papers on the econometric methods that I used. So should be in groups. Why is it good to be in groups? Because don't forget, and I'm going to repeat this several times today, that you have very limited time. Okay, the most important opponent that you have in this presentation, in your thesis presentation, will be timing. All right, so you will fly through this slide. I have seen students that they will dedicate 7 to 9 minutes in this slide from a 12-minute presentation. I have seen professors jumping in and telling them, okay, you have presented what these guys say, how are you going to have time to present what you did? All right, so you will fly through this slide. Okay, here are these papers about this, here are some other papers about that, and here are some other papers about this. And then you continue. Then you have the core of presentation. This will be 2 to 3 slides with a core story. Your assumptions, your methodology, your derivations of your results. Make sure that there is order of understandings to these slides. If the order is not order of understanding, but it's the order that you came up with, then people will start asking questions, which means that they will be interrupting you, and they will also give you a feeling that your presentation is not going well. So you do not want people to interrupt you. What you want is that you have an order of understanding. How does this work? Sometimes I've seen students that they present very good papers, which they give me an equation and they have not defined the variables, and then they define the variables in the next slide. Okay, so inevitably, people will be asking you questions, so what is this alpha there? What does it stand for? So you have to give them this information from before you give them the information or the equation, or at the same time. Keep the technical parts to the minimum. In your paper, you have to go through a precise process of deriving all the math or anything that you want to do. I don't know what your specific topic is. If it's an experiment, you have to explain every single detail of the experiment. But if you're presenting this for 15 minutes, nobody cares about your second order conditions. Okay, so we know that you have done it. You don't even have to refer to this. We trust your advisor since we hired him or her in this university, and we know that you checked the second order conditions. All right, so keep the technicalities outside of the paper. Even if your paper is pretty technical, there is some degree of technicality that you can go through. You don't need to show all the derivations in there. Now, you will need to discuss the results. If you were a mathematician or an engineer, you just derive them, that's it, goodbye. But you're an economist, which means that the math that you're doing, they do not offer anything to research. Pretty much you're going to do like trivial stuff that some people are learning in high school. What is the most important part is that you're going to discuss it, why you followed this method and how it makes sense technically. All right, so I chose this method because I had a problem of heteroskedasticity or something like that. What do they mean economically? So you derive the result, you show me an equation, and then you're like, thank you. What thank you? Where is the economics in there? How can I use this as an economist? All right, so you have to have a discussion about how this is useful in economics. And the third one is why they're cool, why you should be interested, why do they deserve a high grade? Don't say I deserve a high grade because, okay, but you can just sound like that you're interested in your topic and you showed something that you're pretty excited about that. The conclusion slide. It's one slide that just protects you from abruptly saying thank you and disappearing. So you can follow one of the two approaches. The first approach is the short approach, the fast. Repeat the take-home message, 1, 2, 3 bullets, that's it. Or else move here the why my results are cool part. So this will take you longer, so you can take time from the preview segment and move it in the conclusion segment. It's up to you depending on the topic and depending how you feel your presentation should go. You should have a thank you slide which just signifies the end of the talk and just be polite. All right, and that's it with respect to the presentation. Now, my recommendation, and this works most of the time, is that you need to have some emergency slides. What's that? These are some slides that they are in the back, and they have some information that is outside of the presentation. It's not planned to present, but if someone asks you for a particular equation, or if someone asks you for a particular definition, or if there is something very specific that you need to refer to, you can have it there. You can have a graph that you're not planning to release to the normal presentation, but if someone asks something specific on it, this can be very helpful to you. So you jump to those slides. Some people even make links on that, and once you do this, this will be very helpful to you, and it will help you a lot with anxiety because you know that you have something to rely on in case things go to worse. Now, anything you want handy and for security reasons should be in this particular slide.